Good morning. How you guys doing? So this is going to be a 1-hour Pilates mat class with an emphasis on hip dissociation. So what that means is we're going to kind of learn and figure out how to stabilize our pelvis, our hips in a neutral position, and move our thigh bones, our legs, in all directions. And therefore we're going to find some release in the hip socket, some release in the lower back, hopefully some release in the knees, even the ankle joints if those are bothering us. All you really need is yourself, someplace to lie down. If you happen to have a TheraBand, you can grab a TheraBand. If you don't have a TheraBand, you can really use anything. You can use a strap, a belt, a household towel. So just take a moment and grab something for our stretches. Anything will work. And then we're gonna start lying on our back. So you're gonna lie flat on your back. Knees will be bent, feet flat on the mat. And take your feet about hip width apart. So hip width apart means your hip bones, not necessarily the flesh of your hips. So you're lining your heels up with your sit bones and hip bones, which is about the space of maybe one of your feet in between your feet. And then take your hands, rest your hands on your ribs, and let your elbows drop to the mat. Go ahead and close your eyes. And we're gonna start with some Pilates breathing. So this is called rib cage breathing. You're gonna inhale through your nose. Open your mouth, sigh it out. And feel the sense of releasing tension in the face, shoulders, and jaw. Again, deep full breath in through your nose. Little more air than you think you can. And then open mouth, exhale, sigh it out. Feel a sense of releasing tension in the shoulders, face, and jaw. And one more breath like that, deep full breath in through your nose. Breathe in a little longer than you think you can. And open your mouth, let it go. Let it be a sigh of relief, as if you're fogging up your sunglasses. So we're gonna continue to play with the breathing. It's called posterior lateral rib cage breathing. So what you're trying to do when you breathe in is actually fill your ribs with breath. So on your next inhale, try to fill your hands with breath. And then open your mouth, sigh it out. And feel the ribs deflate. Again, breathe in through your nose, fill your hands with breath. Try to get the breath in the rib cage. Open mouth, exhale, sigh it out. Feel the ribs deflate. So it's not a natural breathing. Natural breathing is in and out of the belly, and we're not doing that. We're actually trying to inflate the ribs and deflate the ribs. So the hands are very helpful for feedback. As you breathe in your nose, try to feel the breath in your hands. Feel some movement in your hands. And then open your mouth, sigh it out. Feel the ribs deflate. And this is what gets our deep core muscles engaged, our deeper layers of abdominal muscles. A few more breaths. In the nose, try to fill your rib cage with breath. Open mouth, exhale, sigh it out. And feel the rib cage deflate and the deep core muscles engage. Awesome. So we're gonna take about 10 more breaths. If you're just joining, we're lying on our back, knees are bent, feet are flat on the mat. And those of you that are a little more familiar with the Pilates breathing, we're gonna try to turn it into what's called posterior lateral rib cage breathing. So posterior lateral means your side, that's lateral. Posterior, that's your back. So our rib cage, you guys, goes around our whole spine, like a corset or a back brace. And you wanna feel more breath in the back of the rib cage. So on your inhale, can you sense the middle back expanding? Just pretend. And then exhale out your mouth. Feeling the ribs deflate and the abdominals engage. Again, sense the breath in the back body between your shoulder blades. Inhale, fill the middle back with breath, or pretend, put your awareness there. It's an open mouth exhale, releasing tension, deflating the ribs, and engaging the core. About 5 more breaths like this. So we're on our back, those of you joining, just playing with the rib cage breathing. Inhale through your nose, try to breathe into your ribs, not your belly, not your chest. Open mouth, exhale, sigh it out, deflate the ribs, and feel how the exhale engages your core. Again, in through your nose, do the best you can to fill the middle back, the space between the shoulder blades with your breath. Open mouth, exhale, sigh it out, feel the ribs engage. And the abdominals pull in. 2 more full breaths here, you guys. Feeling and trying to feel the breath across the thoracic spine. So your inhale fills the middle back. And your exhale releases tension and engages your core. 1 more breath like this. Inhale through your nose, try to fill the mid-back with breath. Exhale, sigh it out. Deflate the abdominals or deflate the ribs and feel that that exhale engages your deeper postural core muscles. Awesome. So we're gonna slide our hands down to our pelvis. So you're gonna place the heel of the hands on your hip points. You're gonna touch your thumbs together and touch your pointer fingers together. So you're basically making a triangle with your hands right on top of your pelvis. We're still lying on our back. And as we breathe, we're gonna rock our pelvis. So on your inhale, you're gonna drop your tailbone all the way to the mat, arching the lower back. And on your exhale, you're gonna close your ribs, engage your belly, and round the lower back, lifting the pubic bone, lifting the pointer fingers. On an inhale, drop your tailbone, give me a lot of extra space under that lower back. And on an exhale, close the ribs, pull the belly in, and tuck your pelvis. So we're rocking our pelvis from one extreme to the other. Again, on an inhale, drop your tailbone. Give me a lot of extra space under your lower back. And on your exhale, close your ribs, engage your belly, and round your lower back. So moving with breath, you guys. Inhale, the tail drops way down. I'm arching my lower back. Exhale, I close my ribs, I pull my belly in, and I round my lumbar spine, push my lower back into the mat. 2 more. Inhale, tailbone drops, give me a lot of space under that lower back. Exhale, belly pulls in, round your lower back, and tuck your pelvis. Awesome. 1 more, you guys. Inhale, tailbone drops. And then exhale, round your back. And then find right in between. So try to find the space, it's called neutral pelvis, where you're not arching your back and you're not tucking your pelvis, but your hips are parallel to the floor. So there's this natural curve under the lower back, and we call this neutral pelvis. So if you still have your hands on your hips, what you're gonna feel is your pointer fingers and your hip points, your thumbs, are on the same plane in space, right? So my pubic bone and my hip bones, or my hands, are parallel to the floor, right? So I don't want too much space under my lower back, nor do I want my lower back pressing into the mat. So we're trying to find what's called neutral pelvis, or the natural alignment of the hips, right? And we want to use the breath to stabilize the hips in this position as we start to move through the Pilates exercises. So let's do a little bit of marching. If it's helpful to keep your hands on your hips, feel free. Take a deep full breath in, fill your rib cage. And as you exhale, close your ribs, engage your belly, and lift your right leg to tabletop. So we're gonna move the leg without shifting the neutral pelvis. Inhale, place the foot on the floor. Exhale, close your ribs, engage your belly, and lift your left leg to tabletop. Inhale to lower. Feel the abdominals engage to lift the right leg. Inhale to lower, so you're using your abs to lift the leg, not the leg muscles. Exhale, lift. Maintain that neutral pelvis. Inhale, lower. And exhale, lift. Few more like this. Feel how the exhale initiates the lift. Inhale, lower. Exhale, lift. One more each side. Inhale, lower. So not tucking the pelvis, not arching the lower back. Exhale to lift. Ideally stabilizing neutral pelvis. Inhale, lower. Last one. Exhale to lift and pause. So we're trying to maintain a little natural curve under the lower back, engaging the core, the exhale to support the work of the lift of the legs. So we're releasing the hips the best we can. Take a breath in, and on an exhale, switch your legs. Inhale, prepare, and exhale, switch your legs. So I'm moving my legs independently of my hips, of my pelvis. Inhale, get ready. Exhale, sigh it out. Feel the abdominals engage and feel the abdominals switch your legs. Again, inhale, get ready. And exhale, switch. One more. Inhale, get ready. And exhale, switch. It's my abs, not my hips doing the work. This is very mindful, detailed work. And on your next exhale, can you lift 2 legs to tabletop? Squeeze the knees together and maintain a neutral pelvis. So we're not tucking the pelvis, nor are we letting the lower back arch. We're trying to stabilize that neutral pelvis.
meaning hip points and pubic bone on the same plane. And we utilize the breath to do this. So when we utilize the breath to do this, you guys, we're gonna feel that we're working our abs just to hold our legs at tabletop. So feel the sense of the rib cage expanding and the rib cage deflating. And this exhale turns on this deep core muscle from rib cage to pubic bone called your transversus abdominis, and we're trying to use that to support the legs up here so we're not overworking the thighs and we're not overworking the lumbar spine or the lower back. Final breath. And then on your next exhale, lower one leg down gently. And the second leg down gently. And rest your arms by your side. So now we're going to go into a pelvic tilt again. Take a deep full breath in. And on an exhale, we're going to tuck your pelvis and turn it into a pelvic peel. So as you exhale, you're going to roll your hips and spine all the way up off the mat. So this is called a shoulder bridge. Inhale, prepare. And exhale, roll down, upper back, middle back, lower back, and find neutral pelvis. Inhale, get ready. Exhale, pelvic tilt. Use that pelvic tilt to peel up. We're articulating the spine one vertebrae at a time. All the way up to we're on our shoulder blades and our feet. Take a breath in to prepare. And exhale, roll down, upper back, middle back, lower back. Let the hips release, let the tailbone drop. Feel that neutral pelvis, the letting go of the thighs and the glutes. Inhale, get ready. Exhale, initiate with your pelvic tilt and peel up one backbone at a time, all the way up onto the shoulder blades and the feet. Inhale, prepare. And exhale, roll down, upper back, middle back, lower back. And feel the letting go of the glutes and the thighs as the tailbone drops. About 3-4 more. Inhale, prepare. Use your pelvic tilt to lift. So it's the abdominals lifting us up, not the butt thrusting, not the legs working. It's all from your middle. Inhale at the top. And exhale to roll down, upper back, middle back, lower back. And feel the thighs release. Feel the tailbone drop. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale, peeling up one vertebrae at a time. Really tuck the pubic bone, so using your abs to get there. Inhale at the top. And exhale, roll down. Even lengthen your spine. Pull your knees away from your head, tractioning your spine. And feel that release. Final one, inhale. And on an exhale, tuck and roll up. We're going to pause in the bridge this time. So feel that your weight bearing on your shoulder blades and your feet. So a lot of us tend to lift too high. And now I'm on my collarbone and my neck and it's not so comfortable. Lower your ribs so your whole upper back's on the mat. So all of my shoulder blades, upper back are on the floor. We're going to try that marching here. So you're stabilizing the torso again in neutral, the pelvis in neutral as we move the legs. Inhale, prepare. And exhale, right leg to tabletop. Inhale, lower. And exhale, left leg to tabletop. Inhale, lower. Use the breath. Exhale, engage the core. Feel the core lift the leg. Inhale, lower. So I don't want it to be hip work. I want it to be ab work. Use your exhale to lift. Inhale, lower. Again, feel the exhale, engage the middle. Feel the middle lift the leg. Continue. 3-4 more. Breathing in and breathing out. Few more, you guys. Feel free to work at your own pace. Use your breath to move, right? The work is the breathing, right? So the breathing turns on our core and the core lifts the leg. If we just lift the legs, we're gonna end up feeling too much hip work and too much lower back work. We're trying to release the hips, release the lumbar spine by engaging the breath. So it's this open mouth exhale, engaging the abs to lift the leg. 1 more each side. And then when you're even, 2 feet down, take a deep full breath in. And on an exhale, roll your spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. Let the tailbone release and hug your 2 knees into your chest. So let the tailbone roll up round the back. It's a nice release. And allow yourself to take a deep full natural breath if you need it. So the Pilates breathing is not natural. It will make our core work, our postural muscles work, but it's hard to get, so be patient with yourself. And let's go right into a hamstring stretch. So grab whatever prop you have. Again, if you have a band or a a strap, grab it. If not, use a belt or a towel. Anything will work. And let's loop the right foot and extend the leg up to the ceiling for a hamstring stretch. And then if you can, we can slide the left leg out to straight. And if that feels like too much today, just simply keep the left knee bent. So straighten your leg, the stretching leg, as much as you can today, maintaining a neutral pelvis. Right, so if we pull the leg too far in, what happens is we roll the pelvis, and now we're compressing the lower back. So I want you to keep the sacrum, the tailbone down, and that little natural curve under the lower back. And your leg might not pull as close in, but you will work your core more, and you will stretch your hip more by stabilizing the pelvis. So let's take 3 or 4 breaths here. So the other thing about neutral pelvis is the hips side to side. So we talked about the hips front to back being level on the same plane, right? Not overarching, not over tucking. The other thing is your 2 hip points want to be level side to side. So particularly when we're stretching the hips, as we pull that leg in towards us, if we go too far, the whole right side of the waist and pelvis lifts up. So you may need to lift your head and chest, look at your pelvis, and try to keep your hips level. So you're only going to pull the leg towards you as much as you can, maintaining level hips side to side. So feel how the breath works to stabilize your torso now. Feel how the breath works to turn your core on now. And then when you're ready, put both sides of your band in your left hand and bring your stretching leg across the middle of the body. So you want to move the leg without moving the pelvis. So once again, we're stabilizing the pelvis. Keep the right hip super glued to the floor and the right waist just in line with the left, so the right hip's not creeping up higher. And take 3 or 4 breaths here in this outer hip stretch. Sense the inhale across the middle back. And the exhale, closing the ribs and engaging your core. So use this as an opportunity for you guys to get more detailed with your breathing. Again, feel the inhale expand the back body into the floor underneath you. And feel the exhale closing the ribs and engaging your whole torso, almost like a back brace or a corset holding your spine. One more full breath here. And then bring that leg back to center. So we're going to switch hands. You're going to hold on to the band with the right hand. You're going to take your left hand and hold on to your left hip. The right thigh is going to rotate away from the middle, so the whole thigh bone turns away from the midline. And on an exhale, you're going to let your leg open out to the side for an inner thigh stretch. So how far can you open your leg without the pelvis rolling? You want to keep this left hip super glued to the mat. And that means the leg might not go as far, but we're maintaining, again, a neutral pelvis. And let's take 5 breaths in this inner thigh and growing stretch. So, and this is hard, you guys. It's proprioception. It's hard to even feel if my hips shifted, right? So how far does this leg open to the side without the left hip rolling? You got to use that left lower belly and anchor the left hip to the mat. You have 2 more full breaths. Feel how the breath engages from your rib cage to your pubic bone and supports your spine, again, like a corset or a back brace. And final breath here. And then let's bring that leg back to the middle, and we're going to go into some hip circles. So still with the right leg up. Hold the band with 2 hands if it's comfortable. And inhale, take your leg across the middle of the body. And exhale, circle down, around, and up. So moving the leg without moving the pelvis. Inhale across the middle. And exhale to circle. So this is called dissociation of the hip. Inhale, fill the back body with breath. And exhale to circle. So you can make the circle smaller and slower. I want the stability first. And when you have the stability, you will feel a sense of release in the hip socket, a sense of release in the lumbar spine and the lower back. If you're not feeling release, make it smaller and slower and stabilize more. So guys, if your left heel is rocking around on the floor, you're not stabilizing quite enough. Let's do 1 more in this direction. And then reverse. Inhale, open out to the side, inner growing stretch. Exhale, drop the leg down, around, and up. Inhale to open. Feel the breath hold your torso as the hip moves freely in the hip socket. Inhale, expand your ribs. And exhale to circle. 5 more in this direction. Again, feel the breath supporting the rib cage of the pelvis. So there's no movement in the body except for in that right hip socket. And 2 more. Make it as small as you need to feel the release. And then final 1. And pause at the top. Second leg. Go ahead and step that second leg up. First leg down. And find a hamstring stretch on your second side. So if you need to keep the right knee bent and the foot flat on the floor, that's a little less stretchy. If you want to make it more intense or more stretchy, feel free to straighten the right leg out. And this is a totally different leg, so be patient and notice what's happening here. How far can you pull this leg towards you, maintaining a neutral pelvis? Right, neutral pelvis, tailbones on the mat. So if I pull in too far, I'm gonna roll my whole pelvis up and kind of compress my lower back. I wanna keep my sacrum anchored to the mat and keep my hips level side to side. So I'm not letting that left hip creep up higher than the right. I'm lengthening my left waist. So I might not get the leg as close to me as I'd like to, or as close to me as my ego would like me to. But when I maintain a neutral pelvis, when I stabilize my pelvis, I'm gonna get more stretch in the hamstring. And 2 or 3 more breaths here. Again, you guys, the rib cage breathing is everything. So feel or sense the idea of the back body expanding with your inhale. Fill the middle back. Open mouth, exhale, releasing tension. And engaging your core. Again, fill the back body with breath. Let yourself release tension on the exhale and feel the exhale naturally engages your abdominals, your deep abdominals, the ones that support the spine. 2 more breaths here in the hamstring stretch on the second side. And then when you're ready, put both sides of your strap or band or towel in your right hand, and you're gonna bring that stretching leg across the middle as far as you can, keeping that left hip super glued to the mat. So if we go too far, we're gonna peel the whole pelvis, and then we're moving or compressing the lower back. So again, we wanna anchor that left hip to the mat. The back of the waist and hip are glued to the floor. So the leg might not move as far, and we'll get more of a stretch. Let's take 3 breaths here in the outer hip stretch. So again, imagine, you guys, everything starts in our mind. And whatever is in your mind, it will become real at some point in time. It's the power of imagination. So can you feel, and if you can't feel, can you pretend to feel, or can you put your awareness in your back body and feel the inhale expanding the back body and the exhale engaging the core. And then when you're ready, come back to the middle. Let's switch hands. So left hand will hold the band, and you can even put your right hand on your right hip to help with proprioception. Externally rotate that stretching leg so the thigh rolls away from the middle. And then on your next exhale, you're gonna open out for an inner thigh or growing stretch. So how far does this leg open without the whole body rolling? So I don't want my pelvis to roll off the mat 1 millimeter. Anchor your right hip vigorously into the floor. And your movement will be less, but there will be more stability and more opening. And let's take 5 breaths here in the growing stretch. Breathing in, fill your back body. And breathing out, engage your core. So using this deep set of abdominal muscles to stabilize the rib cage and the pelvis, we find some sense of release in the growing and hip. Right? If we're not stabilizing the pelvis, we're gonna get tension in the joints. Right? We're looking to release the joints by turning on the core. Final breath here. And then gently come to center. And feel free to hold the strap with 2 hands. I think it's a little more comfortable. And we're gonna go into circles. Inhale, take the leg across the middle. And exhale, drop down, around, and up. Inhale. Exhale, close your ribs, engage your belly, and circle. So my circle's quite big. It doesn't have to be this big. You may wanna make it smaller and slower to feel like you're not moving the pelvis. So if you're feeling your right foot, your right heel on the floor rock around, you're probably moving the pelvis. Inhale, fill your back body. And exhale, close your ribs. Again, inhale, fill your back body. And exhale, close your ribs. Few more in this direction. Use the breath to stabilize. Try to feel a sense of releasing the thigh bone in the hip socket. And 1 more. And pause at the top. And we're gonna go the opposite direction. Open out to the side. And drop down, around, and up. So inhale, expand the ribs. Exhale, close the ribs, stabilize the pelvis. So move with the rhythm of your breath, and again, move in a range of motion that feels like you're releasing the hip. So the thigh bone, you guys, the femur bone, it's called a ball and socket joint. The top of this thigh bone is a ball, literally shaped like a ball. And that ball sits in the pelvis socket, which is shaped kind of like a bowl. So we want to feel, the more we stabilize the pelvis, that thigh bone kind of rolls around freely in the hip socket, almost like a mortar and a pestle. When's the last time you used one of those? And 2 more. And then final one. And pause. Awesome. You guys go ahead and release that strap. Hug 2 knees into your chest, round your back. And take a deep full belly breath here. Placing 2 feet on the floor. Finding that neutral pelvis. So not tucking, not arching, but that place in between, that natural alignment of the hips. Interlace your 2 hands behind your head for some chest lifts. Inhale, prepare. And on an exhale, curl your head and chest up. You're going to inhale, reach around, hold the back of your legs with your hands, and exhale, pull yourself up a little deeper. So we're trying to lift to the middle back, all the way to the broad line, ladies, off the shoulder blades. And when I get that middle back to bend, my eyes are going to be looking forward and not up, and I should have less tension in my neck, right? Notice that I still want a neutral pelvis. So often when we do this, the butt grips, the thighs grip, and I'm tucking. I don't want tucking. I want you to relax the butt and thighs and let the tailbone release. If you can, you're going to stay in the chest lift and take 2 hands behind the head. If it's too intense and you need to hold your legs, you keep holding your legs. We're going to maintain the chest lift. Stay up there, you guys, for 3 breaths. In your nose, out your mouth. So this is the work from rib cage to pubic bone. In your nose, even here, try to fill the mid back with breath. Out your mouth, feel the middle hold you. Notice how much here, you guys, when we do ab work, like true ab work, the butt and the thighs tend to grip. Can you relax the butt and thighs and maintain that neutral pelvis? You have 1 more breath. So it's purely the exhale that holds us up here, not the glutes, not the legs, not the shoulders, and then roll down. And we're just gonna do a few, quality, not quantity. Inhale, get ready. Don't tuck your pelvis. Exhale, curl your head and chest up. So we're closing the ribs once again using the breath to move. Inhale, hold your legs with your hands. And exhale, pull yourself up a little deeper, stretching the mid-back. So this ability to open and stretch our middle back is gonna help loosen and give our lower back more mobility. Can you notice if you're over gripping the thighs? So try not to clench the tush in the legs. Relax the tailbone down so you have a neutral pelvis. And take your 2 hands behind your head. Allow your head to be heavy in your hands and stay lifted all the way to the tip of the shoulder blades or the broad line. And if that's not doable today, keep adjusting. Keep holding with your hands and maintaining that lift. When we lose the lift, we start to feel the tension in the hips or the neck. 3 breaths. Keep the chest lift. So once again, you guys, a lot of us have this tightness across the thoracic spine. And in order to bend the thoracic spine, believe it or not, the subtleness of the breath, the inhales in the mid-back will help open and give us more mobility in that middle back. So we're not straining our neck. We're not having to use our hips and our glutes to lift us. 1 more breath. And lower back down. Final one, and we're gonna add on, you guys. Inhale, get ready. Use your exhale to lift. Don't pull your neck. Inhale, hold the legs. Exhale, pull yourself a little deeper, stretching the thoracic spine. Again, notice that you have a neutral pelvis. So the glutes and thighs unconsciously do the ab work for us. And all these glute muscles and thigh muscles, you guys, are connected to our lumbar spine, our lower back. So when we allow the legs to do what we want the abs to do, we're gonna end up feeling tension in the lower back. So can you release, again, the glutes, the butt? Can you release the front thighs so that tailbone drops and you have a neutral pelvis? And then if you can, you take 2 hands behind your head. Inhale here, and exhale, we're gonna come up a little bit higher, a few more vertebrae. Inhale, lower just to the mid-back, not the floor. Use the exhale to come up a little bit higher. Little crunches. Inhale, lower to the mid-back, and exhale to lift. Again, inhale to the mid-back, and a little higher. Inhale just to the mid-back, don't drop all the way down. Use your exhale to come a little higher. Awesome, you guys. 3 more.
Lift without the button thighs gripping. So it's an exhale, it's mindful movement, it comes from our middle, it's very tiny, it's very detailed, it releases the lower back. Final one, lift up and hold, and we're gonna stay here. Are you over gripping your tushy? Are you over gripping your thighs? Can you relax? So there's no leg work or glute work yet, right now, at all. And on your next exhale, we're gonna move the middle back. So we're gonna rotate the thoracic spine. Turn to one side, hold the outside of two legs. Inhale, come to the middle. Exhale, other side. Inhale, middle. If you need a break, take it, come back when you're ready. Exhale, rotate. Inhale, middle. So stabilizing my pelvis, moving my thoracic spine. Exhale, rotate. One more each side. Relax the bottom. Notice if you're gripping your tush. Often it's unconscious. Notice if you're gripping your legs. Let it go. So when we let the leg work go, you guys, we're going to feel more work in the lower abs. Rotate to one side and hold. So stay here off your shoulder blades. Don't let the shoulder blades hit the floor. If you need to keep holding, you keep holding. If you can, get the hands behind the head. Get the hands behind the head and continue. Inhale, center. And exhale, rotate. Inhale, center, tailbone heavy. And exhale, rotate. Again, inhale, center, stay off the shoulder blades. If you need to hold on, hold on. Exhale, rotate. We're taking armpit to knee. Inhale, center, maintain the chest lift. Exhale, rotate, armpit to knee. Back and forth, you guys, 3, 4 more. So I'm stabilizing my hips in neutral pelvis, and I'm turning my thoracic spine. And you guys, so many of us are super tight across the mid-back, so be patient. Again, hold on if you need to. One more each side. And then final one. Hang in there. Back to center. And then lower all the way down. Great job, you guys. Take a deep, full breath. And let it go. So feet are hip width apart again. So when I talk about hips, this is important, you guys. I'm not talking about what you look at in the mirror. I'm talking about your hip bones. These guys that we had the heel of the hands on earlier. So it's a lot closer than a lot of us think, right? In parallel, hip width apart. And we're gonna go back into our pelvic peel. Take a breath in. And on an exhale, roll your hips and spine up. Pause on your shoulder blades. Take a breath in. And exhale, right leg comes to tabletop. And then we're gonna extend the leg to ceiling. So here we are in our hamstring stretch. Are your hips level side to side? Don't let that right hip creep up. And don't let that right hip drop towards the floor. So we want to maintain our torso, our pelvis in neutral as we move into shoulder bridge. On an exhale, lower your straight leg down. Inhale, the leg comes up. And exhale, the leg goes down. Moving with breath. So find that disassociation of the hip here. How far can you lower your leg, maintaining a neutral pelvis? So when the leg lowers, often the lower back wants to arch. You have to lift the belly and tuck the pubic bone. So you're feeling an openness and a release in the right hip, not work in the right hip. The work is in the core via the breath. And final one. And bend the knee, put the foot flat. And on an exhale, left leg to tabletop. So if this is too much, you guys, if you're feeling it in the joints, not the core, don't go so low with the leg. And or bend the knee. So you can do the same exercise like this, right? The long lever makes it harder. If you can, we extend the leg for full shoulder bridge. And exhale, lower down. Inhale up. And exhale down. How far can you lower your leg maintaining a neutral pelvis? So you guys, the lower we drop the leg, the more that whole side of the waist drops to the floor, and now we're compressing the lower back. You gotta stabilize the pelvis. The more we lower the leg, the more we lose the neutral pelvis, and we end up arching the lower back, and therefore, again, compressing the lumbar spine. So how far do you lower the leg today? Feeling like you're opening the front of the left thigh and holding from your abdominals. You guys have 2 more. And final one. And 2 feet flat on the mat. Take a deep, full breath in. And on an exhale, roll your spine down 1 vertebrae at a time. Release the tail and hug both knees into your chest. Let the lower back round, come out of neutral pelvis for a moment and find that release and stretch in the lumbar spine.
And then we're gonna take our legs back to that tabletop position. So tabletops means my knees are over my hip joint or my pelvis. I'm gonna take my arms straight out to the side to a T shape. And we're gonna go into a little rotation of the spine. So we're gonna keep the shoulder blades planted, similar to the way we did it in the pelvic peel or the shoulder bridge. And we're gonna move the hips and the spine. So on an inhale, rotate your knees and hips to one side. The hips will come off the mat. And exhale, come back to center. Inhale the other way, fill the back body with breath. Open your mouth, use the abs to pull the hips and knees to center. Again, inhale, fill your back body as you rotate the spine, only as far as you can, keeping the upper back glued. Exhale, sigh it out, use the rib cage and the abdominals to come to center. 3, 4 more, you guys, back and forth. So once again, we're turning the hips now. Right, so we're stabilizing the thoracic spine. The hips turn and the hips pull back to center. The hips turn and the hips pull back to center. And use the exhale once again to pull to center. So the more we practice this, the more we get it. Be patient, it will come with time. Again, the exhale closes the ribs and engages the abdominals. And feel the rotation of the spine. Feel the neck, shoulders relax because of the pressing of the upper back. And then one more each side. Make yourself even, right and left. And then come on back to the center and pause at tabletop. So holding tabletop, you guys, I want you to feel this is ab work. And a lot of us don't, most of us don't. This is, believe it or not, this concept is advanced. So most of us, when we hold our legs here for quite a while, we're gonna start to feel the thighs gripping and even the lower back tensing. Can you try to relax the front of the thighs? And this is conscious work, mindful work. So the thigh bones drop deeper into the holes of the pelvis. And in order to release my thighs, I have to stabilize from somewhere else. So once again, let it be the rib cage breathing that holds you here from rib cage to pubic bone. Maintaining that neutral pelvis and doing the best you can to release the work in the front hips. One more breath, trying to hold tabletop via the breath. Releasing the front of the thighs. And then hug your 2 knees into your chest. And rock from side to side a few times. And then grab your 2 knees with your 2 hands. So actually hold on to your kneecaps and you're just gonna stir your hips. Kind of like an egg beater. So let the legs be heavy and relaxed and try to use the arms to support the weight of the legs. So this again is that dissociation of the hip. Can you turn, stir the thigh bones in the pelvis? And it should feel pretty fabulous if you're able to release the hips. The hard part is releasing the hips. Let's go the other way. Right, so in Pilates, we're learning to work the core, but in order to work the core, we need to release all these other muscles on top that kind of overgrip and overhold. And all these muscles, guess what, you guys? Turn on in a state of fight or flight. Turn on in a state of stress. So when we're stressed, even if it's slightly, our shoulders grip and tighten, our jaw grips and tightens, our hips grip and tighten, our lower back grips and tightens. So can you feel that now and can you find a sense of release? Right, it's about paying attention and mindfully training the body via the mind. Hug your knees all the way in, you guys. Curl your head and chest up and let's just rock a little bit. So rock on the spine, and if this doesn't feel good, just make your way up however it does. And let's come on up, and we're gonna come onto our belly. So you're gonna cross 4 fingers over 4 fingers, thumbs touch each other. And you're gonna lie on your belly and rest your forehead right on your stacked hands so your nose has a comfortable spot to lie down. So coming into prone, again, stack your hands, rest your forehead. Find that hip width apart distance with your feet. So the top of the feet are pressing into the mat. They're hip bone distance apart, not hip width apart, right? So they're a little closer than you think. And this is just proper alignment. Rest your forehead and sense the breath here. Sense the breath lying on your belly. So when we lie on our belly, you guys, gravity does not help us pull our abs in. Gravity does not help us engage our core. When we lie on our belly, our front body tends to plop into the floor. Can you again sense the idea of the breath in the back body? And every time you exhale, sense the feeling of the ribs pulling into the spine. So you'll actually feel the flesh of the ribs subtly lift away from the mat or the floor into your back, into your spine.
You'll also feel the belly button on the exhales particularly pull into your lower back. And it's gonna feel as if your pubic bone is anchored into the mat and your lower back is long. So if we just relax here, again, the belly drops, the ribs drop, and we're not really engaging our core. Can you use the exhales to lift the front body to the back body? So on your belly, it'll feel like a subtle lengthening of the lower back. And mindful to do it from the breath, you guys, not from clenching the booty or hunching the shoulders, right? So the body wants to do this with every single other muscle but your abdominals. Try just to use your abdominals so it feels like a pelvic tilt here. And on your next exhale, you're gonna hover your right leg off the floor. So you're lifting the leg from the hip socket, dissociation of the hip. Inhale, lower your leg. Exhale, second side. Inhale, lower. And exhale, lift. So I'm lifting from my hip socket, where my thigh bone meets my pelvis or my bottom. I'm not allowing my lower back to change at all. So as I lift, I'm vigorously again tucking my pelvis. And I'm only gonna lift as high as I feel like I can without also rolling my pelvis open, so one hip wants to roll off the floor, and or without letting the lower back arch. Few more. So how far, it's a lot of mindfulness, how far can you move your leg behind you without the hip rolling opened and without the lumbar spine arching or the tailbone lifting? So you will feel, you guys, keep going, you will feel like the pubic bone is vigorously pulling into the mat. You will feel like you are working your lower abs a lot. And you will feel a sense of openness across the front thighs. One more each side. And then see if we can get 2 feet off the floor, 2 legs off the floor. So a lot of us, you guys, it's not gonna be a big lift. I want more stability in the pelvis. That's kind of our theme for today. So if I arch my lower back at all, even a millimeter, I'm compressing my lower back. Keep lifting your belly button and lengthening your tailbone towards your feet, and your legs might not come as high. 2 legs are off the floor if we can. Keep your rib cage lifted and your front body engaged. And from here, we flutter kick the legs like we're swimming for 10. Now the faster I go, the harder it's gonna be. Challenge yourself, but maintain the neutral pelvis for 5. I'm moving from my hip socket, not my knees. 4, lots of lower belly. So there's no rocking back and forth of the hips. We're stabilizing the pelvis. 3, you guys, hang in there. 2, final 1, and lower down and press back into a child's pose. Hips back, forehead down. And if child's pose is not comfortable, very comfortable, lie on your back, hug your knees into your chest and take a small break there. And if your head doesn't reach the floor, consider stacking your arms and resting your head. And feel a sense of releasing tension. Let the lower back round and continue to feel the breath in your back body. Let's take 2 or 3 more breaths in child's pose. And again, notice where there's tension, right? I think we all have a lot of it right now. If you don't, maybe you have something to teach me. And so wherever you may be gripping or holding, maybe the shoulders, maybe the jaw, maybe the face, can you release? It's a practice. So we're actually going, oh my gosh, I'm holding and tensing, gripping my body. Can I let go? And the exhales help a lot. So that open mouth exhale helps release tension, right? And the mind and the body are connected. So the mind can tell the body what to do, and when the body releases tension, the mind follows. It's kind of a gift. Last deep breath here in child's pose. And then make your way back up to your hands and knees. And we're gonna come onto all 4s. So spread your hands, plant your hands on the mat, and if for any reason this bothers your wrists, you guys, you can modify by being on a fist. So you can be kind of flat on your fist, and or you can roll up like a towel or a mat and kind of place the heel of the hands there so you're not breaking the wrist as much. If you can be flat on the wrist, be flat, or flat on the hand, be flat on the hand. It's a great stretch. And then let's just do cat-cow. So on an inhale, we're gonna open the chest. And on an exhale, we're gonna round the spine. Lift the waist and lift the ribs and really focus on rounding the lumbar spine today, the lower back. Inhale, my chest pulls forward, my shoulders slide down my back.
Exhale, lift my waist and ribs and try to tuck the pelvis and feel that release in the lower back. Few more. Inhale, chest pulls forward, tail lifts. Use your breath. Exhale, lift the waist and the ribs and try to round your lower back. Again, inhale, chest and tail lifts. And exhale, round your back. And then final one. Inhale, chest and tail lifts. And exhale, round your lower back. And then coming to neutral. So we're gonna go into a hip stretch. You're gonna step your right foot forward between your hands. So you wanna get your front knee or your front ankle under your knee, and you wanna make sure you're hip width apart, right? So a lot of us tend to step here, which is like walking on a tightrope, which is gonna make it a lot harder than it already is. So you're stepping like you're on railroad tracks. And then we're gonna bring our body upright. So your hands can be on your hips. If you need to pad your bottom knee, you guys feel free to put more padding, kind of roll over your mat or use a towel or a blanket or something. Find neutral pelvis here. So we've done so much lying down, it's hard enough to figure out lying down. Now I want you to find all that work, all that detail, upright. So, what tends to happen because we're stretching that left hip is my tailbone gets pulled behind me. So vigorously lift the pelvis. It feels like a pelvic tilt. We've done a lot of this today. So my tailbone is pointing to the floor. If you guys need to hold on to something, feel free to walk over to a wall. And I want my hips level side to side. So my front leg, you guys remember the hamstring stretch? You can see it in my pants and my shirt right here. I want my right hip to drop so my hips are straight across. And that's a lot of pulling up from the left lower belly or the left lower oblique. And then when you're ready, tuck your back toes under and lift your back knee off the floor. So we're hovered about an inch off the floor. If you need to modify again, you can hold on to a wall. Try to keep your back knee underneath you. A lot of us go too far back with this leg. Bring it forward a little, bend the knee more, and that's gonna help you upright the pelvis. And then we're gonna go into a few lunges. Inhale, straighten two legs. And exhale, bend two knees. Inhale to move. And exhale to move. Three more. So you only go as low as you can stabilize. Stabilizing means my pelvis is neutral. So how far can I lower down without my tailbone getting pulled behind me and my lower back arching? Two more. How far can you go down maintaining a neutral pelvis? Maintaining a neutral spine, meaning from head to tail, I'm upright. Pause as low as you can go. Check out your hips side to side and try to level your hips. So often that right hip's gonna be higher. We need to pull up from the left lower belly, drop the right hip. I know your legs are burning, mine are too, and I probably haven't done as many as you. Staying in the lunge. So we're gonna keep the front knee bent, keep the pelvis upright, and all we're gonna do is try to straighten the back leg. So how far does your back leg straighten before you arch the lower back? So I want you to maintain the upright pelvis and just straighten the back leg as much as you can, keeping the lower belly engaged and the pelvis neutral. You have 3 breaths in the hip stretch. Soften something, possibly your shoulders. Keep lifting the belly, relaxing the face and jaw. Let that hip open instead of the lower back compress. One more full breath. Come on out of there. Awesome. Only 2 sides. Yay. Left leg forward, maybe it's your easy side. So make sure you're hip width apart with the legs and then bring your body upright. Get shoulders over hips the best you can and put your hands on your hips. So the hardest part of this work, you guys, is figuring it out. Hence why I have a job, right? I'm there to help you figure out where you are, where your body is in space, and what the postural habits are. So we move unconsciously and we want to make it conscious. Are your hips level side to side? Most of us, the left hip's going to be higher. Pull up from that right lower belly and sink the left hip down. So when we do that, we're going to start to feel more work in that left glute and less compression in the top of the hip and thigh. Is your pelvis neutral front to back? Can you lengthen the tailbone to the floor? And then if and when you're ready, tuck your back toes and lift your back knee off the mat. Again, recommit to leveling the hips, so dropping that left hip down, lengthening the tailbone to the floor, and let's move. Inhale, go up. come down. Inhale, go up. And exhale, come down. Bend the back knee more than you think so it's underneath you and you can upright the pelvis. 3, 4 more. Can you feel the sense of the breast supporting your spine like a corset or a back brace here? So my torso from head to tail is neutral, natural alignment. And it's as if I'm sliding my torso up and down a wall. So I'm not going forward and back. And then final one. Bend and hold. Again, maintain neutral hips. Drop your left hip to the floor. Lengthen your tailbone down. And now try to straighten your back leg as much as you can on this side without the pelvis getting tugged behind you. So you don't want to let it be a lower back arching. Keep lifting the pelvis. And just straighten the back leg as much as you can today, maintaining a neutral pelvis. So you get more of a hip stretch and more ab work. Soften something. Use the breath to stabilize. 2 more breaths. Final breath. And then come on out of there, you guys. Nice job. Press back into a child's pose, rounding your spine. And find a sense of releasing tension. Few deep breaths in child's pose. How much can you let go of right now? It's a practice, hence why yoga is so popular, right? A practice of letting go of agenda, letting go of judgment, letting go of all the stories in your head, and just simply being with this inhale and this exhale. And then when you're ready, we're gonna come on up. And we're gonna do some articulation of the spine. So you're gonna sit on your bottom, have some space behind you to move. And you're gonna try to sit upright. Now most of us are gonna have a really hard time sitting in this L position because the hamstrings are tight. So you can open the legs a little bit, right? So if you're feeling like you're kind of schlumpy in the body, you wanna get your spine tall, open your legs and even bend your knees until you feel like your weight is on your sit bones and your spine can be tall. If you can have the legs all the way together, the legs are all the way together. And if you happen to have a TheraBand, it's helpful for this exercise, but you can absolutely do without. So if you have a TheraBand, you wrap your feet and you hold on. So it's just gonna be an assistance. If you don't have a TheraBand, the arms reach out in front of you. And if you feel like you need help, but you don't have a TheraBand, again, you bend the knees, or you widen the feet and bend the knees, and you can actually hold your legs. So we're gonna articulate the spine. Take a breath in, and exhale, roll down. So just like the pelvic peel, we're peeling the spine. If you're not holding anything, you reach your arms overhead. Inhale, lift your head and chest, and exhale, roll up. So we call this articulation of the spine. Sit tall, inhale, get ready. Exhale, peel down, tailbone, lower back, middle back, shoulders and head. If the arms are reaching overhead, keep the rib cage super glued to the mat. Inhale, lift your head and chest. Keep that lower back grounded as long as possible as you roll up. And again, if you need to modify, you separate the legs. You can even hold on. Inhale, prepare. And exhale, roll your spine. 1 vertebrae at a time. If your arms are reaching overhead, keep your rib cage super glued to the mat. Inhale, lift your head and chest. And exhale, roll up. And stack up nice and tall. So pause for a moment and check me out. So what I'm seeing is, what I'm anticipating I'm seeing, because I can't see anything but myself, is this. Most people start like this. I've hunched my upper back and rounded my shoulders, but I forgot about my lower back. So since today is about the pelvis and releasing the hips, what I want to see more of, you guys, is this. Lower back. Tuck your pelvis. Tuck your pelvis. Like your pubic bone is tucking under towards your face. Pubic bone, pubic bone. So you're going to get more mobility in that lower back. And then inhale, lift your head and chest. Keep the lower back grounded as long as possible. And stack up nice and tall. So do a few more and try not to lead by your upper back and your shoulders. Lead with the pelvis. So the movement starts from tucking your hips under. So I'm pulling my pubic bone under towards my face, and my touch, as I roll over my bottom, you guys, my feet will roll towards me. And then 2 more. Get the movement in the lumbar spine today. 1 more. Move with your breath. All right, we're gonna go just down to the chest lift position. So on this next one, again, lead with the lumbar spine, like you've got a soccer ball in the belly. And keep tucking your tail under, tail under, tail under, and we're gonna pause at the tip of the shoulder blades. So we're back in our chest lift position, and both legs come to tabletop. Moving into single leg stretch, slide your right leg out to straight, 2 hands on the top of your other knee. Inhale, switch, and exhale, switch. Inhale, switch. And exhale, switch. So here's the work, right? This is more of an intermediate exercise. Can you move the legs with the core? Right? I know you guys can also kick your legs back and forth and overwork your hips and your lower back. Can you release the hips? Right? We did that hip release. Can you find the letting go in the hips and move the legs with your core? 1 more. The answer may be no, just keep working on it. It's okay, we're all learning. Hands behind your head, add the rotation if you can, opposite armpit to knee. Inhale, turn the middle back, not the pelvis. And exhale. So again, my legs move freely in my hip sockets because I stabilize my pelvis. And I use my abdominals to support my legs, not my hips and my lower back. I turn my middle back via my breath. Last 2. Crisscross. And last 1. And hug both knees in, rest all the way down. Awesome, you guys. Take a deep full belly breath and let it go. Let your arms be wide, place your feet on the floor. And just let both knees drop to the right for a twist. So let go of the Pilates breathing, let your breath be deep and full, and just allow your spine to unwind. Give into gravity the best you can. If it feels uncomfortable, maybe put something underneath your knees for support. If you want a little more of a stretch, the bottom thigh, ankle can come over the top thigh. And if you do that and it feels like too much, just undo it. A few breaths in the rotation. Again, finding that sense of letting go. How much can you let go of right now? Allow the spine to give into gravity, allow the spine to unwind. And feel some space in the side body and waist. And final breath. And then gently come back to center. And second side. So let the weight of the legs completely drop. So if you feel like you're efforting or having to hold the legs up, you guys prop them. Stick them on a pillow. Or a blanket, or whatever, anything. Anything you got. A cat. Lengthen and deepen your breath, give into gravity, and allow the spine to unwind. So let your breath be deep and full. And notice if you're over-efforting. Notice if you're trying to push or shove, and see if you can let that go. Notice if you're resisting, if you're holding and gripping without even being aware of it, and see if you can let that go. And just give in to gravity and allow yourself to unwind for just this breath. And then when you're ready, gently come back to the center. Give your knees one final squeeze into your chest. Let the tailbone lift up. And rock yourself up. And then gently, you guys take your hands together at your heart. And just bow your head towards your heart. And take a moment and just internally thank yourself for giving yourself this time. For the self-discipline of self-care. All the benefit of the practice comes from the effort you guys put in. You did fabulous. So nice seeing you. Thank you for joining me. I love you guys. Have a beautiful Thursday and a wonderful weekend.